This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fan Report, episode number 161 if you're keeping score.
That's a palindrome.
It is. I guess 161 is, yeah, technically. All right, can you make numbers palindromes? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I don't think palindromes find numbers, but you know what? We're going to do it.
So that was today's English lesson with the Fan Report. I'm Nick, and with me is Andrew.
What's up, guys?
Considering we started this episode with some English grammar talk, there probably isn't a whole lot going on in the NBA world outside, or NFL world also, outside of the fact that the NBA draft is next week. So we are going to be talking quite a bit about that. That's probably going to be a bulk of the show. I mean, if we covered Tigers baseball, obviously there would be plenty to talk about there because they are an absolute embarrassment. And they just don't even look like they care. And frankly, why should we? So, utter disappointment that team is. But the Lions, I believe they just finished up their voluntary OTAs, if I recall. And I want to say rookies are still there, but that's it. And they are going to be starting their mandatory off-season program pretty soon here. So the Lions are going to start ramping things up, but they're not quite there, and there's just not a whole lot going on outside of John Pennicini retiring. Andrew, what did you do to stay cool today? Because obviously today we are recording a day later than usual, which puts us right in the middle of the 100-degree day. I luckily work inside, so I haven't really had to deal with the heat outside. I've taken the dogs out when I get home, but
Yeah, I'm a blue-collar worker. I work on the roads all day.
no, you don't. Don't even try to take credit for that. You work in a high rise in.
Take credit for the roads. I don't want to deflect credit for the road.
True. So
how I stayed cool was I had a cold brew instead of a hot coffee this morning.
Well, there you go. That's a good idea. Switching up the habits to make sure that you don't overheat on a day like today. An unseasonably hot day. It's not quite summer yet. It's late spring, which we do get some warmer days, but not this warm.
And the humidity's pushing the real feel up to like 105.
Yeah, it's miserable out there. It is miserable.
Just be leaning on you.
So we hope that you guys are finding ways to stay cool and stay hydrated, especially if you're working outside today. But
well, I mean, by the time they listen to this,
won't it still be in the 80s? I have no idea.
Actually, I think we're supposed to get a pretty hot day later this week.
Okay. Yeah, tomorrow's supposed to be hot.
Oh, sorry, no, next week. If you're listening to this on Tuesday, the 20th, 21st, yeah, stay cool.
You're late. Man, there just really isn't a whole lot going on with our two teams, is there? Outside of the draft. I mean, obviously that's a big one, but there's so much to speculate on.
We do have some draft stuff for y'all.
It's just one of those things where there's so much to speculate with that there's almost nothing to talk about with it.
Because it's becoming almost pure speculation.
It's pure speculation, pure hearsay. Nothing you read or see you can actually legitimately believe and take. Everything has to be taken with a grain of salt.
It's becoming like a near certainty on the top three, not in any specific order, but like on who those top three are going to be. You do hear rumblings here and there, but the overwhelming majority of reports seem to suggest that the three bigs are going to go 1, 2, and 3.
Which doesn't really surprise me all that much. I mean, I will say, though, there are surprises every year.
There are.
Especially inside that top three. So I wouldn't be totally shocked to see a Jaden Sharp or
I just hope that surprise isn't Jaden Ivey.
And I agree with you. If that means that one of the big three guys falls to us, then I'm not going to complain. But I don't think they would.
I will say it's looking less and less likely that Sharp is going to be that surprise. We finally have some reports on competitive workouts with him coming from ESPN's Jonathan Givani. Apparently, he did a competitive 3-on-3 workout with Ben Math and Dyson Daniels and didn't stand out one bit.
Nice. Well, that's lovely.
And I'm almost afraid that didn't stand out was Jonathan Cavani like being nice about it. Like I'm
Okay, that is pure speculation.
no, I'm saying I'm afraid. I didn't say it is. I said I'm afraid that just saying it didn't stand out could be him just being nice about it and actually sucked.
Again,
I don't know.
You saying that is purely speculation, and not even speculation that's rooted in any reality. Him saying that he didn't stand out could still mean he was the best player on the floor. He just didn't. He wasn't head and shoulders above some of the other guys. Who else was in that 3-on-3 workout? Does it have any names or just those three?
He just says Ben Math and Dyson Daniels.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to be somebody who bases someone's draft stock on a 3-on-3 workout at all.
Oh, yeah, like, obviously. When everyone's been speculating why he's not doing competitive workouts and he finally does a competitive workout and supposedly can't stray himself from the pack in that competitive workout from a bunch of guys who are going to get picked below him, then
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that scouts are dumb enough to take that and take that bait. Like if they want this guy, their mind is made up. A 3-on-3 workout a week before the draft is not going to change their opinion on him. So,
I agree. I don't disagree with
and if they don't want him, it's the same deal. Like, even if they're on the fence, I don't think a 3-on-3 workout is going to change that opinion. They have their mind made up one way or the other, and if they don't, I don't think this is really swaying them one way or the other. Like, they're not going to put too much stock in a 3-on-3 workout, and I don't think we really should either, because it's who cares? You know, it's an off-season workout where a guy could just be going in and going, I don't care. Like, it's a little bit competitive, but it's 3-on-3 basketball against 2 other draft prospects, and we don't even have the names of the other 3.
I would hope that NBA scouts know considerably more about Shaedon Sharpe than we do.
If they don't, then the NBA really needs to hire us because they're in a world of trouble.
All I'm saying is, like, if there was any player that a workout this late could still have an impact on his draft stock, it is Shaedon Sharpe. Like, I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying, like, in general, like, there I could see a world where there's still so little known about Shaedon Sharpe that it's coming down the wire in terms of trying to decide.
I would argue that players that are in the second round, it would have a bigger impact on than a guy like Shaedon Sharpe. I think people are looking at, or scouts, I should say, are looking at Shaedon Sharpe as purely potential, not what he is now. And that's how they look at him. So they don't really care about a 3-on-3 workout, and I don't think it really plays at all into his draft stock. Like, it just, it's irrelevant. And I think
it could help, though. I mean, there have been questions about his compete level, considering the fact that he didn't want to participate in competitive workouts or hadn't up to this point. So maybe it could raise his stock because, maybe he does. Maybe at least he was, competing hard in the workout. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, right, Nick? I'm trying to be nice to him.
I'm not gonna give him the benefit of the doubt on a 3-on-3 workout. Like, I'm just not. I'm not gonna, especially a week before the draft. Like, if it's a week before the draft, he's probably not going full go in a 3-on-3 competitive workout because that's putting himself at risk for injury. If you go full go,
this was last week, so this was
either way. It's 2 weeks before the draft. He ain't doing that.
Yeah.
So I don't see much value in something like that. I don't think it affects his draft stock. I'll be honest with you. I bet you there's some scouts out there that didn't even care to watch it because it's irrelevant. And frankly, I wouldn't entirely blame them. Again, it's irrelevant. He is who he is right here, right now. No, we don't have a full idea of who that is, but we know potentially what he could become, which is a star. And that's what scouts are looking at. That's where his draft stock is, and it's how much do you value that potential over what he is now? How willing are you to wait a few years to get that, to potentially see that type of potential? Are you willing to
potentially see that type of potential?
That was a terrible way to put it, but
I love it.
How long are you willing to wait to see that potential? And that's where you decide where you draft him. Or if you're inside the top 5, if you're going to take him there. If you're, a little bit outside that, maybe you're more likely to take him there at that spot because of the potential. But the teams in the top 5, top 3, they've got their minds made up on Shaedon Sharpe. Nobody is going in saying, I don't know who I'm taking at this point. They know who they're taking. They have probably a list of 3 guys that they're willing to take there. And Shaedon Sharpe either is or isn't one of them, and nothing's going to change between last week and next Thursday to decide that. outside of an injury or somebody getting pulled over and arrested for having 3 pounds of marijuana in their car. Sorry, Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah. I still don't understand how that happens.
First off, you're a professional athlete making millions of dollars a year. Why are you the one driving the hot car? I can't remember who said it best, but a very wise man, I believe he was a former NFL player working for one of the studios, said, and I quote, "You got to have a fall guy. Your fall guy is who drives your hot car. If you want to get 3 pounds of marijuana, you send your boy. You spot him 10 grand.
Unless he was stupid enough to be the fall guy for someone even bigger.
Ain't no damn way an NBA player is a fall guy for another NBA player.
Maybe he knows something.
Unless you're Matthew Dellavedova.
Maybe he knows something. It's like, unless you want me to tell the world, you're my fall guy.
I don't understand how somebody of that status gets caught with 3 pounds of pot in their car. It just doesn't make sense to me.
So, other news, Bleacher Report still reporting that
garbage.
Pistons forward Jeremy Grant is widely expected to be moved this summer.
Oh, not garbage. Yay. Honestly, that actually concerns me a little that they're the ones reporting this. No secret, I don't like Bleacher Report's analysis or reporting very much. I don't buy it whatsoever.
Don't worry. All these little tidbits are all in service of one greater question. So here's another little tidbit for you. Going back to Jonathan Givani's mock here. According to Jonathan Givani, the Thunder are
what
said to
studio
be
is he with?
ESPN.
Okay.
The Thunder are said to be aggressively pursuing trade conversations to deal their pick, which I believe sits at 14, I want to say.
And they're going to do it for a guy they let
12.
walk for nothing?
Sorry, 12. They're seeking to package it with future assets or existing Oklahoma City players in order to move up into the mid-lottery, with players including Jaden Ivey and Shaedon Sharpe believed to be among the potential prospects they covet. Now, we know the Thunder have a treasure chest of draft capital. They are probably fully loaded to make with ammo needed to make this move happen if they so choose. It's also been reported that Sacramento is not Jaden Ivey's preferred destination.
Is it anyone's?
It's also been reported that I believe it's Sacramento's GM that actually prefers Keegan Murray.
Good.
Sorry, owner, not GM. Vivek Randive is who prefers Keegan Murray. And there's some rumors that, according to Jonathan Givani, that Mike Brown, the new head coach over in Sacramento, might like him as well. So that would mean, at least to me, and to a lot of reports too, that Sacramento could be primed to move, and the Thunder could be a pretty massive trade partner. Now, Jonathan Givani did mention a couple of possible trade partners in Sacramento as Indiana and Detroit, along with OKC. How worried are you that OKC, with their treasure chest of assets, could jump into the 4 spot and grab someone like Jaden Ivey ahead of the Pistons?
See, I think OKC is one of those teams that probably values a guy like Shaedon Sharpe a little bit more than Jaden Ivey because of the upside and potential there. They know they're a few years away from being a legitimate threat with guys like SGA, Darius Bazley, Theo Maledon. Like, they want somebody who can be... Like, the one thing I would say that is missing from OKC's future is that bona fide superstar. And that is what Shaedon Sharpe can be for them. And they desperately need somebody out there that can play that wing star type position. And Shaedon Sharpe fits that mold. So I more likely can see a Shaedon Sharpe working in that system more so than a Jaden Ivey, because Jaden Ivey would probably have to fight for the ball quite a bit with a guy like SGA. SGA takes a lot of shots. Jaden Ivey does not really fit in that mold very much. So I think Shaedon Sharpe would be their target at 4. If Shaedon Sharpe goes in the top 3, they could still potentially move up to go get a Jaden Ivey.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised that they're pursuing like either of these guys this heavily.
Shaedon Sharpe makes all the sense in the world for me. Like Shaden Sharp that's the one thing that I think that team is truly missing is from their future. Obviously, right here, right now, they're not a great basketball team, but from the future of that team, the one thing they really need is that bona fide superstar that can take over games. Because he's good. I like SGA, but I can't really say he's a guy you can rely on to take over a game and dominate. You know what I mean? Like he can do it sometimes, pretty rarely, but not enough. Shane Sharp is a guy, and they're a team that's willing to wait a couple of years to see it, that can and will do that. That's why I can see them being aggressive to go get Shaden Sharp. Jaden Ivey, I don't see it as much with because I don't see the fit there.
Yeah.
But I absolutely, if Shaden Sharp doesn't go inside the top 3, I absolutely can see them jumping up to 4 to take him. Absolutely, I can see that.
Yeah. I just personally thought, just in general, that they're going to try to pursue a wing or a big. I mean, I like their backcourt of Josh Giddey and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shane Sharp's 6'5", 6'6" tops.
He can play outside as a wing. He's a smaller wing. He's not really a 3, but he plays a 2. He can also play as a small ball 3. I think, plus Darius Baisley's out there for him too. I mean, they've got Shaden Sharp fits what they need.
Yeah, I think this is Darius Baisley's like last chance year.
Probably.
Is what is year 4 that he's entering?
I actually thought he was pretty solid for them last year, but that's just me. I'm just taking a look at their roster real quick to figure out what they've actually got here. They did just trade for JaMychal Green. Not that, he's moving a ton of needles, but so another reason why I don't know that Jaden Ivey would be a smart play because of the presence of guys like Josh Giddey and Lou Dort. They firmly believe in guys like Giddey and Dort. They played them a ton, and they were effective for them last year. So I really believe a guy like Shaden Sharp would be the target for them. Maybe you move Dort to the bench, have Giddey and Sharp kind of compete for minutes at the 2-3. Rotate them between 2-3, depending on how you like to play them. Yeah, and basically rotate in also.
I agree with the Jaden Ivey thing because I like their backcourt. I'm of the belief that I think OKC is in the draft itself in a really good spot for their needs. I mean, they're right in the green zone for guys like AJ Griffin, Ousmane Deng, Jeremy Sochan, Jalen Duren. I mean, I feel like those guys all fit.
My thing is with OKC, and I don't really want to talk too much OKC basketball because who gives a shit. But
this is a Pistons podcast.
My thought process with OKC is they are in a prime spot to get guys like that. But I feel like they have a million guys like that. Not necessarily of that player type of that position, but that almost Sadiq Bey type role where he's not quite one of your top 2 or 3 guys. He's just outside that on a good basketball team. They have a lot of those. A Lou Dort, a Theo Maledon, Trey Mann, Darius Baisley, Josh Giddey. They have a ton they have a ton of those guys. They don't have a guy
Jeremiah Robinson Earl.
Right. They don't really have a guy that can take over ball games on a consistent basis. I like SGA. He's a really good player. He's not that guy.
Yeah.
So I think they need a superstar to really put them in a good spot. And I think Shaden Sharp is where they can grab that.
Yeah. I just realized they drafted 2 guards last year, and Trey Mann and Josh Giddey, and then I think Theo Maledon might have been the year before.
I think you're right. They also have Ty Jerome. I have no idea if he even plays.
But anyway, so the reason I'm bringing all this up, though, is to ask you this question. I'm just trying to gauge how badly you want Jaden Ivey, knowing that it's looking like there are a lot of suitors can go up to 4, and just in general, Jaden Ivey's stock has been a little bit higher than Shaden Sharp's as of late. Would you be willing to move Jeremy Grant and the number 5 overall pick for number 4?
No. Reason I say that is because, frankly, to move up one spot to get a guy I think will be there anyways, nah.
I'm right there with you.
I'm willing to move up to 4, but I'm not willing to give up a guy who probably is a mid to late first round asset and a one pick later to go do it. Like it.
I'll roll the dice, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, I really want Jaden Ivey, but you're basically punting on the value you're going to get for a Jeremy Grant trade.
Right. You're giving up all the value you could get on a Jeremy Grant trade.
Yeah, you're punting on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it. You're not really gaining much by doing this. And yeah, you like Jaden Ivey, and I like Jaden Ivey, and we want to get him. But if the draft doesn't fall that way, the draft doesn't fall that way. And you can say that, yeah, we could have gone and got him, but at what cost? You know, and frankly, I don't want to give up as much as the Thunder would be willing to give up to go up that high. Because no matter what, let's be real, the Thunder have more assets to trade the Sacramento Kings to make their deal more attractive than we do. That's just a fact. Like, yeah.
Well, the Sacramento Kings have been pretty vocal about wanting to get a win now player. Jeremy Grant does fit that mold.
But again, I'm not willing to move that much. Like, I'm not willing to go that high on a deal.
Now, what if one of the bigs fell to number 4?
If it's Holmgren or Smith, yes. If it's Banchero, no. Then I'd probably do it.
I think I also agree with you there.
Like, yeah, Holmgren's a project, but he's also a project that fits a need and gives a lot of excitement there. And
if I don't get
who he is.
Yeah, if I don't get Jaden Ivey, like I'll stay put and grab Ben Mather, I'll stay put and grab Shane Sharp, or God forbid,
I'll trade back to grab those guys if I have
to.
Like it. I'm not willing to just sell the farm to move up one spot just to get Jaden Ivey. Like I don't value him that high. I like Jaden Ivey. I think he'd be a great fit here. He's a really good basketball player, but you have to understand, you know, he is who he is. He has question marks. He has some decision-making question marks there. Like, he's got some consistency issues. He may have been just a splash in the pan last year. We don't know. Is that worth giving up a first-round value asset and a number 5 overall pick just to get that? In my mind, no.
Now, another trade scenario going the other way. According to The Athletic, Keegan Murray won't be on the board when the Warriors pick, but a college assistant who faced Iowa gives insight on Golden State's presence at the Big Ten tournament, saying, I think they were salivating over him, referring to Keegan Murray specifically. Would you be willing to trade back with Golden State, which is pretty far?
32 or 30 at this point? No.
28. I think they have 28 right now, don't they? Or probably, yeah.
They're in the NBA Finals. They're either 30
there's only
or
30 picks.
They're either 29 or 30. They're in the NBA Finals. They're one of the last two.
Yeah, true. But
the answer's no.
I thought the NBA was purely on standings, like record standings.
I don't think so.
Anyway, is there any kind of package that Golden State could put together to entice you to give them the number 5 pick?
The Warriors are 28. You're right.
Okay.
No, frankly, no. I don't want to move back to 28. And unless you're telling me here's Klay Thompson or Steph Curry, no. Like,
unless you're telling me here's a 3-way trade. What if they give you Jordan Poole?
No. He's nice. He's a nice player. He's not a number 5 overall pick. Like, for me to move back to 28, it would take so much. And frankly, and you know what? I'm actually going to take it one further.
Yeah.
If the Oklahoma City Thunder, like, say Shaden Sharp and Jaden Ivey were still on the board at 5, and the OKC Thunder came a-calling and said, we'll give you, I don't know, what's the value to get up from 14 to 5? 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, or 2 firsts and a player like a Theo Maledon or something? I'd tell them no. Why? Because I don't want more draft capital. I've been adamant about this. I don't want any more draft capital at this point. I don't want to punt further down the road. I want players. Draft capital is meaningless to me now.
What if they're offering SGA? Because this will be the first time that SGA has been thrown around in trade.
I don't want SGA next to Cade Cunningham. I'll be honest with you.
That'd be a pretty supersized backcourt.
It would be. But you know what? Cade Cunningham would want to smash his head through a damn brick wall after the first month. Have you ever watched SGA play basketball?
Yeah,
That dude is so frustrating as a teammate. Like, I watch this man. All right. Let me give you guys. Let me give you guys one of the reasons I dislike SGA. And don't get me wrong, I like SGA. I have an eternal vendetta against him for this. All right. I put together a crazy ass parlay that had like plus 103,000 odds. It was just a joke play. I put like $3 on it.
I thought this was Lou Dort that screwed you on this one.
I put like $3 on it to win. I don't know. It was like $5,000. It was a lot of money. It was a good chunk of change and a huge step up from $3. Every leg hit going into the night game. The night game was OKC versus, I don't even remember who the opponent was. I needed Lugens Dort to hit 20 points, essentially. His line was 19.5. So I needed him to hit his line, basically, to hit his normal over. That was the lowest odds leg I had on that play. I felt real good about it. He had, I want to say, at halftime, 13 or 14 points. Game was pretty close, too. So, like, he was going to play. Come the fourth quarter, he's got 19 points at the start of the fourth. Doesn't play most of the fourth. Gets in the last, I want to say, 6-7 minutes. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander proceeds to take 17 shots in a row. Did not let anybody take another shot. And also, by the way, shot like 37%.
The man's a bucket.
Shot like 37% from the field in that game. So it's not like he was hot. He was shooting terribly. He was just a ball hog. And because of that, I didn't win that parlay. Now, I did hedge and made a good chunk of change, but I was so pissed off watching SGA take shot after shot after shot after shot and brick shot after shot after shot and proceeded to watch this team who was down by 6 go down by 8 and 10 and 12 and 14 because he refuses to give up the damn basketball. I don't want to see that next to Cade Cunningham. That would be Cade Cunningham saying, fuck this shit, I'm out. I don't want to see that. That's Colin Sexton coming in here and pissing everybody off.
Which the Pistons are supposedly a fan of.
That would piss me off.
I don't get it because he's not even like a Troy Weaver type guy.
No, he's not. Like, I like SGA as a player. I think he's a good player. I think he's got a lot of potential. And I don't want to see a guy that takes 30 shots a game at the detriment of his teammates to come in here and do that. The offense should run through Cade. And that's just what it needs to be. So, like, if the Thunder were to come here and say, you know, obviously it'd be pretty tough to turn down an SGA trade at the same time. But back to my point, I don't want to see more draft capital, and especially draft capital that's next year, the year after that. I'm done with that. I want players. I want guys who can contribute. And a top 5 pick, that guy can contribute right now. So give me that over 2-3 draft picks down the road.
Yeah, no,
I need a guy that can be Cade's wingman, his running mate. Guess what? 14, you ain't getting that there.
Yeah, you're not. No, I definitely agree because we need to start putting the pieces in place to win right now. And unless Troy Weaver's got some really good intel on Shane Sharp, for example, that we don't have, and believe Shane Sharp will be there at like 7, let's say, and trades Jeremy Grant to the Warriors to move back to 7 and still land Shane Sharp there. Like outside of a trade like that,
how the hell would us trading with the Warriors make us go to
I was trying to Portland.
Okay.
Portland, sorry. At the Blazers.
Oh shit! You mean to tell me we're at 5 and 7? We got Jaden Ivey and Shaden Sharp. Woo! Damn.
That'd be. It's been my dream scenario, not in terms of like those two specific players, but in general. Portland giving up 7 for Jeremy Grant, but not like us not having to send 5 back.
If we send 5 and Grant to Portland for 7. Troy Weaver,
it would definitely
be checked into a hospital.
Oh no! Like if in that scenario, there would definitely be future picks involved, or like players involved, or something. But
nah, I'm good.
It's just been my dream just to trade Grant for 7 and have 2 picks just right there in the early to mid lottery.
Even like I would honestly consider doing this 3-team trade. We send 5 and Jeremy Grant to whoever wants them between Portland and OKC. We send 5 to OKC, Grant to Portland. We get 7, we get 14. And they work out their shit over there. That doesn't really make sense, does it?
No.
Anyways.
I'd rather have 5 and 7 than 7 and 14, I'll be honest with you.
Well, no, we don't get like the only way to make the deal work is we have to move back to 7 and 14 is what I'm trying to say. Like something else is moving around. We have to move to 7 and 14. I'd be happy with that.
So you're saying if we gave up the 5 in that trade with Portland, if we made a 3-team trade and got at least 14 as well in return?
Yeah, 7 and 14
I gotcha.
in return. I'd do that because then you're ending up with potentially Shaden Sharp, Ben Meth, and AJ Griffin, something along the lines of something else you need. Like that I'd be okay with. But I want us to get guys that can play ball and be a 2 to Cade's 1.
Like if we did somehow move back, not like if we had our pick and then move back, or if we did like 7-14, for example, that second first round pick, I would almost lean grabbing a guy like Jeremy Sochan, a player type that you completely lack on this roster, just a pure defensive menace, and just see what kind of energy it brings to that team.
That's fair. Except this team has a shooting issue.
No, I know. That would definitely be addressed first. But I'm saying with that second first round pick.
But they need more than one guy there. Like they have an issue with shooting and athleticism that they need to fix and relatively soon. And by relatively soon,
Jeremy Sochan's got near those things.
Right.
He'll compete his butt off though.
Woo. You know who else competed their butt off? Darvin Ham.
And look where he is now.
He's a
head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers.
You mean team masseuse? Any team that
Did you see he brought Rashid in as an assistant coach?
Did he really? That's awesome. All right, you know what? That's going to be a story I'm going to pay attention to because are you a Lakers
fan now?
No. Is there anyone in this league who, coach player that has the balls to tell LeBron to sit down and listen to me? It'd be Rashid.
100%.
Like, I could see Ben doing it, but he's a little more soft spoken. He doesn't, he lets his actions speak. Rashid lets his words speak.
Rashid's he's one of the few players in the court that has for the most part only ever beaten LeBron. He didn't have many opportunities to get beat by LeBron. I know there was one series. Actually, I think Rashid was off the team by then, where we got swept by the Cavs.
Was that the
first time?
Year?
Was it 06 or 07, I think. I think 07 actually was the year we got swept by the Cavs, which I think Rashid was off the team by then.
Might have been.
I'm not sure. Actually, no, he wasn't. Sorry, no, Rashid wasn't off the team by then. I don't think he left the team till like 2009 or 2010.
I was going to say, I feel like he was one of the later ones. Yeah. But anyways, I want Jaden Ivey, but I'm not willing to give up the farm for him. And I'm also not willing to take on a bunch of future draft capital. So
what's your scenario then? If Ivey goes 4 to the
Sacramento.
Kings and top 3, and top 3 go as we expect. Are you staying put and grabbing someone here? Or are you moving back and grabbing someone there?
You're really going to give me worst case scenario here, aren't you? I don't like this game.
You can avoid a worst case scenario by trading up the.
No, because then I'm giving up freaking 2 first round assets to move up 1 pick. I'll pass on that. I'm going to Portland with a plate of cookies and a pie baked by grandma saying, hey, we'll give you Jeremy Grant and our pick at 5. You give us...
You find a way to get 14.
No, you give us
and
7.
Give us both those picks.
7 and Anfernee Simons.
Oh.
And we'll do it. And then I take probably...
I think they say no, but I would love it.
They probably do, but
I mean,
that's why I'm bringing cookies and a pie.
With that 3-team scenario you tried to throw a few minutes ago, I mean, if I can tell Portland to go get me 14, and then I'll give you 5 and Grant for 7,
why would
14.
OKC, like, at that point, OKC's already moved up to 4 to take Jaden Ivey.
So Cleveland's 14. Unless you're talking about 12.
Sorry, 12, not 14.
Okay.
I meant 12.
Okay.
So that's kind of out of the question. They've already moved up to 4. So
well, I'm saying I guess they can move up to 4. I'm in my head I was saying Jaden Ivey of the Kings at 4, but
which I mean they could do. Mm-hmm. I don't really think that happens. But say the Kings take him, then I go to try to make that 3-way deal work where I get 7 and 12. But in all likelihood,
maybe the Thunder get 5 and they give their future first round picks to Portland or something. I don't know. Like
that could happen, and they get Jeremy Grant. And we get 14 and 7.
Portland gets Jeremy Grant. Thunder will be able to get to 5 and take Shaedon Sharpe.
And we get 7.
We get 7 and we get 12. Portland gets Grant and future firsts.
All right, let's get Troy Weaver on the phone.
He's got a good relationship with the Thunder. I mean,
he does.
I mean, is there part of you that is scared that we're going to trade back with the Thunder just because of that relationship?
No.
Okay.
Troy Weaver's not in the business to throw other teams a bone, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's in the business of doing that. He's in the business of getting the bones from other teams. And by that, I mean taking them. Stealing them. I don't mean it that way.
I just want a scenario like what Boston got with the Nets a while back when they traded
you get
Kevin
like
Garnett.
3 first-round picks for trading up for trading away.
Like 2 late 30-year-old.
Yeah, sure. That'd be wonderful. I think the NBA doesn't allow those anymore.
I mean, you think about it. That trade is the lone reason that Boston's is in the finals right now. But that trade got them Jason Tatum. That trade got them Jaylen Brown.
No, that
directly
trade,
from those picks.
I mean, technically, yes. The Philly trade at the top of the Tatum draft got them Jason Tatum, where they traded away their number 1 overall pick to Philly.
It was the Nets number 1, but
right.
Yeah.
But Philly wanted Markelle Fultz, and they were stupid to do that. And
I'm saying they would never.
Again,
they would have never been in a position to get Tatum for that trade.
It still took some stupidity from Philly to make that happen. A lot of stupidity.
I am so fully of the belief that if they hadn't made that trade, that they would have taken Tatum number 1.
Oh, I do too. I fully believe that also. I'm just saying, it took some help.
But they were able to get additional capital.
Yeah.
And still get their guy.
Right. So, but I want Jaden Ivey. I just don't want him that bad. But frankly, I believe in Troy Weaver. I think he's going to do what's best for this team. He's got an eye on a guy. He's going to go and fleece some other team yet again in the draft and get us some assets here. He's going to make something happen. He wants his team to start winning.
I mean, to speak to your point of like the Shaedon Sharpe workout doesn't really matter. Troy Weaver did come out and say right after we got the number 5 pick that he could make the pick right now. So I feel like his mind may have been made up a month ago.
Would you be upset with if they took, say, Jaden Ivey's off the board at 4, and you're sitting at 5? Shaedon Sharpe's still there. Are you upset at them taking him?
I'm just going to trust that Troy Weaver knows
what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, because I mean, with a guy like Shaedon Sharpe, I know that these dudes have a lot more intel.
Right. There's no doubt about that.
Gather.
You're not at all worried about a Darko scenario.
Yeah, like we could. I mean, obviously,
there's a lot of similarities there
because all the intel we have are him playing in open gyms, and high school basketball. That's all we have.
A la Darko Milicic. That dude could back down the hell out of a chair, man.
Speaking of workout videos, did you see the Killian Hayes workout video that's making the rounds on NBA Twitter, on Pistons Twitter?
I don't buy those.
Oh no, this is why I find it funny is so it's been going around Pistons Twitter and basically the caption saying Killian Hayes is really expanding his game in the offseason. And the first clip
is a 12-foot jump shot.
The first clip is him going for a layup on the right side of the rim and laying it up with his left hand. What changed? Nothing changed.
Oh my God. So something they tell you not to do when you're 9.
I also did see, I think it was Dyson Daniels' workout clip with the Blazers. He was basically doing a 3-point shooting drill, and he was just bricking them. like
The
bad.
fact that they're this close to the draft that they're working out Dyson Daniels tells me they are not gonna. They're not making that pick.
Oh, this wasn't like yesterday by any means. This was like a couple weeks ago, but
Still, I'm not so sure Portland wants to make that pick.
I mean, it's been reported that they have looked at trading the pick. So
Nobody works out Dyson Daniels in the top 10 seriously and is serious about making the pick.
Dyson Daniels has been getting a lot of top 10 traction lately.
Lately, that workout was a month ago. I said it.
But yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to work out Nikola Jovic at number 5. I'm going to work him out. Yep, I'm going to make the pick.
I really want Nikola Jovic to go to Denver.
Nikola Jokic.
I really want it to happen.
That would just, for the sake of the people that freaking watch TV or listen to the games on the radio, please don't let that happen.
Please let it happen. Let him get number 16. Because with the Thunder's way of lettering, it's going to be pretty
impossible to tell them apart.
Yeah.
Is he also a 7-footer that plays point guard?
He is a 7-footer with passing abilities. I mean,
is he kind of chunky?
No, not really.
I haven't seen Nikola Jovic that much. Like,
he's not chunky.
I don't pay too much attention.
Like, you're going to be able to tell him apart by looking at. He's got this. I mean, like, I've seen him with the same hairstyle as Jokic.
Oh, they're gonna get these two confused so much if they draft him. I can already see it now. He's got to add some weight for sure, but like they could definitely get these two confused. Oh man, Denver, please take Nikola Jovic. It'll make for great TV.
You know what's funny? If you type in Nikola Jokic on Google and go to images, there are Nikola Jokic pictures that pop up.
Seriously?
Not all of them, but some of them are.
That doesn't even surprise me, honestly.
I think that's just the way Google works, to be honest
I
with
don't see a single Nikola Jokic picture.
you. I've counted 4 so far.
Do you search Nikola Jokic a lot?
No.
Interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I don't see it.
But
anyways, what would you do? You're at 5. Jaden Ivey's gone. What are you doing? What's your scenario?
First thing I'm doing is I'm talking to Portland. I mean, I probably would have been talking to Portland before this, like kind of get an idea of what it takes to get 7 from them. But assuming I stay put, me right now, I think Ben Math is my pick. But assuming Troy Weaver has more intel on Shane Sharp than I do, he's probably less scared to make the Shane Sharp pick than I am. If I had the amount of intel Troy Weaver has, and it's positive intel, Shane Sharp is definitely my pick at 5. I'm not necessarily, if it's anyone besides those two, then I'm moving back.
I'm pretty much kind of in the same boat there. Like if it's one of those two, I'm not mad. If it's anyone else, I'm probably mad because I don't want anything to do with Keegan Murray. I don't want to see Johnny Davis up there. I don't want to see anybody else. Like it's Ben Math or it's.
You know, bright side, if Keegan Murray's a pick, we're going to have like the smartest team in basketball.
Great. Because that wins championships. A bunch of quiz bowl guys.
I'll be honest with you. Leading up to the draft, I've been trying really, really, really hard to convince myself on Keegan Murray. Telling myself things like, the Spurs would take him. Like,
would they?
He's such a Spurs guy. Come on.
I guess he kind of is, yeah. I can see that.
But like, still, I just
okay. But the Spurs
of the type of player I was looking for in this draft is basically what I'm.
No, I 100% agree. And the Spurs taking him is like the Tim Duncan Spurs would take him, which that type of basketball does that work in today's league? That is like overly fundamental.
The Spurs are still like the least flashy team in the league.
I understand they are, but like. Those teams were really good because they had a Tim Duncan, arguably the greatest power forward in the history of the game.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys who probably, outshot their normal distance there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Tony Parker was picked in like the 20s, wasn't he?
Right. Yeah.
Manu Ginobili was picked in the second round.
Too. Yeah.
David Robinson, no one knew who he was.
David Robinson made Tim Duncan who he is.
Yeah. I had one more thing I was going to say, but now I forgot.
Now,
if I remember it, I'll bring it up.
All right. Do you have any other questions to pose with this draft, or does that pretty much cover it all?
I just want to know your nerve level on a scale of 1 to 10.
This is a weird one for me. I'm not going to lie to you because, like...
Oh, I remember I was going to ask you.
What?
See Sadiq Bey on Mean Tweets this week?
I did. You showed me the video.
Oh, yeah.
That's a funny play on words, I guess.
His reaction was such a Sadiq Bey reaction.
I know. Like. My favorite one had to have been the Jalen Suggs turkey dry as hell. I was dying at that. That or the Gary Payton looks like an aged Kanye West.
Gary got mad at that one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him. I would too.
So what? Yeah, to close it out, like, what's your nerve level at? We'll gauge it again for our full-on draft show, as if we haven't done 2-3 straight full-on draft shows already.
Right.
But
well, you know what? Next week we'll do a mock draft. We'll have a day of mock draft.
Ooh, I like that idea.
But it's a weird one because, like, I can't be nervous because there's not one guy I really want to get. Because the guys that I really want to get, I feel like are out of reach. So, like, if we were at 3, I'd be nervous. But because we're at 5, I almost just have to let the board play out as is and deal with it.
But there's only one guy that I would have seriously been considering if we hadn't fallen to 5, and that was Jaden Ivey. So I think he still, for me, separates himself a little bit more from everybody else.
He does, but I don't value him as high as guys like Jabari Smith or Chet Holmgren. Or even close. And those would be the guys that if we were at 3, I'd be nervous about. Like, can one of those guys please drop to us? But because we're at 5, and I know that the guys that I really want are out of reach, it's and the fact that I just have no idea what this team is even going to be doing. Like, I don't know who they really want. It's hard for me to get nervous about that because it's.
I wish we didn't drop 2 whole spots. Can we just drop 1?
If we
it would have been perfect. Like
4, I'd probably still be a little nervous because
because I'd be like, all right, if we don't get one of the 3 bigs, that means we're getting Ivy. Like
that's true because I'd be happy with any scenario there.
Yeah.
And then we'd somehow pull a Detroit sports team move and take Keegan Murray at 4. And
why do you torture me like this?
Well, you're a Detroit sports fan. You have to be tortured. It's like cost of admission. But no, it's hard for me to be nervous, or that nervous, I should say, because of the fact of where we are. So they're honestly lower. They're probably lower than they were last year. And like I had a lot of confidence Cade was the pick, but like there was enough doubters there that it made me a little nervous on draft day. Like I had more nerves last year than I did this year.
Mm-hmm. But like,
and it also has to do with the fact that we had full control last year.
Yeah,
and I've seen Detroit sports teams screw up full control draft picks way too many times for me to be comfortable in that spot.
But like, we were gonna do what? Like screw it, because like. I remember we had a lot of talk about Jalen Green before, and that was what the fan base was. But a lot of the reports were like the only other guy that you were hearing reports about from the Pistons camp was Evan Mobley. Yeah. And honestly, like, yes, I would rather have Cade Cunningham than Evan Mobley. Don't get me wrong.
I wouldn't have been.
But how big of a screw up? How big of a screw up is that really if we did it? Like, it's a screw up, yes, but you still got Evan Mobley.
Yeah, like Evan Mobley's a damn good player, but. I knew Cade was the guy, and that's who I wanted. So I was nervous about that. Versus this year, like, again, I've just seen too many Detroit teams screw up draft picks they've had control over, and I didn't want to see it again. Versus this year, I don't feel like the control's really in our hands as much. So I feel like there's a little bit less nerve there because, you know, There's really only a few guys that they could take, and outside of 1 or 2, I'm pretty comfortable with any of them. Was
it the 2020 draft that the Red Wings got screwed and fell to 5?
I think that year is where they stayed at 5. They or 5 or 6. That was the Lucas Raymond year, if I remember right.
It's the only point I'm trying to make is, hey, last time someone got, well, if they didn't get screwed, then
The years they got screwed were this year. Yeah. I think 3 years ago. I think the Zadina draft was the year they got screwed. I want to say the Mo Sider year was the year they got screwed too. I could be wrong on that.
Wasn't the Mo Sider year the same year as Lucas Raymond year?
No.
Oh,
Mo Sider was a year prior. Okay. Mo Sider was a year prior, I believe.
I mean, I knew they were both high draft picks, but I just thought it was a year that we had 2 high draft picks. That was all. Okay.
Yeah, he was. So I believe he was a year prior. And Mo Sider was at the time a reach pick. Like a lot of people said, Moritz Sider, why the hell would the Wings go and get him? Well, look at him. But
wasn't he part of a group of U of M players that like were highly touted in general?
No, he was a German player.
I know, but he went to U of M, right?
No.
The hell?
You're thinking of this year's NHL draft that had guys like Owen Power.
Yeah, maybe.
God, I guess. This year's NHL draft had like 5 Michigan players in the top 10.
And so the Red Wings got one of them, right?
Sorry, this past year. No, they did not.
Okay.
This past year, I should say, not this year. Obviously, this year's draft hasn't happened yet, but. Owen Power, number 1 overall, went to the Sabres. Matty Beniers, 2nd overall to the Kraken. Mason McTavish, I believe, was a Michigan guy. I could be wrong on that. No, he was not. Luke Hughes was a Michigan player. He went number 4. So they had, I want to say Kent Johnson. Yep. So they had 4 of the top 5 players Michigan did in this past year's draft. The Wings took Simon Edvinsson at 6. He's another, like, really big defenseman like Mo Sider, who's got a lot of talent. He's 6'4", I want to say, and Sider's 6'5". He's potentially coming up next year.
Yeah, but we're getting off topic now.
Yeah, so anyway, we're talking hockey.
To close it out, so I think what we've learned on this podcast for both of us is that Jaden Ivey is our top choice at number 5.
Oh, absolutely.
But we're not all in on Jaden Ivey. Meaning, if we were all in, we would do whatever it takes to get him, kind of.
And frankly, I think going all in for a guy like Jaden Ivey is reckless in my mind. He's supposed to be a really good player, but there's still a lot of question marks there. And guys you go all in on are not guys that have a ton of question marks in my mind.
Yeah, the only reason I even brought this whole topic and took us down this winding road is there is a cohort of Pistons fans who are all in on Jaden Ivey. It's full. So
they trade Jeremy Grant number 5 to get number 4.
I mean, I don't know if like that specific scenario they do, but like there's been a growing sentiment of Jaden Ivey or bust kind of that I've been noticing. So.
And you know what? That's fair. I give credit to people who take that hard stance with some of these prospects, whereas you and I have kind of sat on the fence a little bit. Yes, we've put our stick, our stick in the stand on who we want, but we've still kind of sat on the fence a little bit with guys like we're okay with Ben Math, we're okay with Shaden Sharp. Like we'll be happy with those picks, but there's people, I respect people who come out and say it's this guy or nobody else. Especially if it's not like an outlandish type of player. Like if you were to tell me it's Keegan Murray or bust, like go take a walk. Like no. So, but I will say this to those fans: RELAX, relax. I know that's probably painful words for Lions fans, but Troy Weaver knows what he's doing. He's got a guy in mind that he wants. And he's got that guy in mind for a reason.
If he was to be believed a month ago, his mind's been made up for a while now.
So
I think that's where we'll close it out.
That is where we'll close it out. We thank you guys for listening. We got one more show before the draft. That show will be dropping on draft day, if I recall.
Morning of draft day, so be on the lookout for that.
We'll be giving you guys a mock draft or two in that episode, so look forward to that. But follow us on Twitter at RealFanReport. Give us your thoughts on who do you want to see the Pistons draft? Are you willing to make some trades to make sure we get that guy? There's a lot of potential options out there, and how nervous are you? So, but thank you guys for listening. Andrew, thank you for joining me, and thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast as always. We will catch you guys next week. This has been the Fan Reporters by fans.
For fans.
Have a good one, guys. Enjoy your week. Stay cool. Have a good one. Peace out.
Peace.